Can you guess what I'm making? You might think creme brulee, and you might be half right. You might think bread pudding, and you also might be half right. But I am going to do a bread and butter pudding, and then I'm going to burn it. Now, most of these ingredients can be used in a ton of classic desserts. There's nothing fancy here. There's rolls, there's eggs, there's cinnamon, of course the sticks, vanilla extract, and heavy cream. All we need is one mixing bowl where we are going to cream our yolks with our sugar, and then we are going to use a small saucepan to bring our cream up to a scalding temperature. Then we will use it to temper the eggs before going in the oven. We're going to start with our egg yolks. If you want to do this along with me, I'm starting with 8. You want to separate the yolk from the whites. The whites you can set aside for something else. Next, we're going to add 3/4 cup of white sugar. We're going to put these in our mixer, and we are going to beat them with our whisk attachment until the yolks emulsify with the sugar and get a very light, fluffy consistency, and they start to rise. That's called creaming the yolks. Remember, it's always important to use your spatchy spatch to push all that stuff back down there. Next, we're going to work on our cream. This is where the magic happens, because any extra touches you want to add to your creme brulee before it goes in the oven, any extra flavors or extra salt, this is where you add it. So first, we're going to work on our cream. I used 8 large egg yolks, so we are going to use 4.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. Here are the first 2. Here's the last half cup. This is where I'm going to add a pinch of salt. I'm also going to add my vanilla right now, which some people disagree with this, but I have never had a complaint. The recipe I use calls for 2 tablespoons. But as my wife likes to say, measure with your heart. I'm going to add a cinnamon stick. If you've never worked with cinnamon sticks, it gives you the best flavor possible without the grittiness of ground cinnamon. So this is going to go to the stove, where I'm going to heat it to around 150 degrees. You want it to be almost at a simmer. You want it to be scalding, but you don't want it to break or to boil. You want it to be just hot enough so the fat will emulsify with all the other flavors before we use it to temper the eggs. While we wait for our cream to scald, we'll start working on the King's Hawaiian roll. This is going to be the bread, our bread and butter pudding. Now, there's nothing special about these. People do love them. They're very tasty. They make great sandwiches, sliders, all different kinds of things you can do with them. It's kind of considered blasphemy, but you can go ahead and cut them up, make great croutons out of them. But I am just going to cut them across the middle and then layer them staggered on top of each other so I can soak them in the cream and then cook them. So I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to use my hand to guide it and hold it down. Keep in mind, this is for my family, so I'm not wearing gloves. And you don't have to be perfect with it. Just try to cut them in half as best as you can. Remember, moving your knife back and forth, not using too much force. Ta-da! Don't mind the crumbs. We are going to start by taking your bottoms and placing them inside the dish. Fit 3 of them. Yep, just like that. We're going to move them right to the middle. Then, we're going to set one here. It's going to kind of hang off. We're going to layer this one here and this one here. And then we're going to use one more. If you'll notice, we have one more top and we do the bottoms, but they're all propped up nice. You will note that it is very hot, almost to the point of boiling. We're going to turn it off the heat right now. That way we don't bring it to a boil and break it. I'm going to slowly trickle in my hot cream. This is called tempering the eggs. Doing it gradually so the eggs don't cook. You want to slowly bring them up to temperature without them turning into scrambled eggs. After it's all been mixed in, we're going to remove it from the mixer. Now, if everything went as planned, and you took your scalding cream and tempered your eggs nice and slowly as a mix, it should foam up like this. Now, what this is one of the hardest and easiest parts in making this dessert. We need to remove this foam. And you can do what you want with it. It's a waste product. You can drink it. You can do what you want. It's delicious. If you're having a cup of coffee, use this to make yourself a latte. It's absolutely stunning. But we're going to remove this first. I am just using a measuring cup, and I am very gently going to allow the foam to flow into it. And then I'll just take it to the side. Now I'm going to add some sugar to the top of these bread right here. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I poured the cream over because I want the cream to soak in. Generally with bread pudding, you mix everything together and then you would allow it to soak before it goes in the oven. I didn't do that, I just poured it over the top. So with the rolls being wet, I want the sugar to crust up on the top to give it a little extra crunch and sweetness because the top is not going to have near the amount of filling as the rest of it is. The next step is going to be placing this inside of another dish where I can add water to make a water bath. Now, generally speaking, you want to use boiling hot water so it doesn't slow the cooking process down and the inside of the oven gets nice and humid so it doesn't burn the top of your creme brulee. At least not before you want it to. I'm very gently going to add my water. I do not want it to splash into my creme because I want this to turn into a beautiful custard. That's good.